NewsX has accessed the dossier made for Hardeep Singh Nijjar, made by the Indian intelligence agencies, backed by evidence. These documents show how Nijjar had gone to Pakistan for arms and explosive training, then plotted several terror attacks in Punjab and made his association with the Khalistan Tiger Force, from his associations with gangster Tara to murders and funding of terror. This shows how Nijjar was indeed a terrorist. Let's quickly show you this dossier and expose for you the incriminating details which emerge from this. So you can clearly see this is the information so far. So this is the dossier of Nijjar. Hardeep Singh Nijjar, of course, is his name. His address was in Surrey, BC, Canada. His passport numbers are also there, as you can see on your screen. And that is his picture that we were showing for you as well. Now, the cases against him include FIR number 279, also another FIR, that one was, of course, from a different part of Punjab. This one is registered in 2010 in Patiala against him. Multiple cases, remember, lodged against this individual. Let's go to the next slide if we can. This is another FIR that has been lodged against him. This dates 2015. This was lodged in Noorpur Bedi police station, also in Punjab. And another case against him was lodged in 2016. This in the police station in Ludhiana, city of Punjab. Well, reportedly, this plumber by profession and financier of arrested KTF chief Jagtar Singh Tara obviously carried out the activities of this terror outfit ahead, and he was introduced to Tara by US-based terrorist Gurneek Singh reportedly. Remember, these are all inputs and information that are all part of his dossier, which is there for all to see, of course, with various international agencies. Nijjar visited Pakistan in April 2012, reportedly for 15 days, which is where, of course, he met with officials of several banned terror outfits. He was trained by Tara in arms handling and also the making of IEDs as well, that are impressive electronic devices. He has sent 5 lakh rupees in September 2012 for personal use of Tara. The financial transactions are also there for all to see. Reportedly, he had also sent him this for purchase of a paraglider from Spain. So that was what the money was used for by Tara. Nijjar also, in operating hand, held GPS device through his associate Harjot Singh bidding of the United States of America. So obviously his tentacles were spread far and wide, as you can clearly see. Meanwhile, he was also to travel to India and collect dumped arms, explosives using GPS coordinates too. Now, after the arrest of Tara in Thailand, he had reportedly gone to Thailand to meet Tara, to attempt to see him there, and obviously to ensure that the terror outfit continued despite this setback. He also wanted to personally go to Pakistan, carrying Tara's message for ISI as well. Now, this reportedly was to happen in 2014. So, this is the entire dossier, of course, of this individual, which proves that he was no ordinary man. He was no ordinary citizen who needs to be protected or shed tears for, but he was a terrorist. Now, while India has evidence, the Canadian authorities think that internet searches justify their intelligence. Listening to what the British Columbian Premier had to say about what intelligence the Canadians are relying on to make these charges.
Information briefings or open source briefings, which is information that's available to the public doing an internet search, which I find frustrating. And so I can be transparent about that information that I've received. In terms of the specific incident in Surrey, I was contacted by the Prime Minister. He briefed me about what he was going to say in the Parliament, which he then went on and said. He offered to me a briefing from CSIS, which of course I said, yes, I would like that. We arranged it. We got a briefing from the director, which was, as I say, open source information. And then that was it. I expressed my frustration in the meeting with the CSIS director about our inability to get more concrete information about this kind of thing.
And joining us now on the broadcast is Ambassador Manju Seth, former diplomat. We also have Major General Gigi Dwivedi, Global Strategic Affairs expert, joining us live. Colonel J.S. Sodhi, Foreign Affairs expert, also joins us on the broadcast. N.K. Sood, Internal Security expert, is live with us as well. Ambassador Manju Seth, let me begin with you first on what you make of these very, very incriminating details against this individual, which clearly show he was a terrorist. This is, proof for all to see.
That's what is the most surprising thing, but they are talking of credible allegations. This is actual proof that has been handed over to them on which they have taken no action, the Trudeau government. So it is really very surprising that despite clear-cut evidence, the whole dossier was handed over to them to take action, they have not taken action. And again, they say that they're hiding behind this plea of freedom of speech, freedom of expression, etc., which I think is totally untenable. And the Trudeau government has, I think, with this allegation of credible allegations, I think it is something unheard of, and I'm sure my other colleagues will also bear me out, especially the security expert here, will bear me out that this kind of, vague, credible allegation, theory that they're coming up with, and then even, putting it in the public space and publicly announcing it. I think that is totally unacceptable and has really put the Indian-Canadian bilateral relationship has brought it down to a very low level, and much mending will be required, especially on the Canadian side. But this dossier is really quite shocking. But it is something which is, I think, seems to be the norm with Canada. They seem to be ignoring all these kind of things. The usual, our terrorist is, bad, but your terrorist is, is a good person. You are just unnecessarily, making allegations. That's what the kind of attitude that they have. So they're trying to distinguish, like many other governments before in other countries, that between good terrorists and bad terrorists. And I think there is no good terrorist. A terrorist is a terrorist. And that the government of Canada needs to understand, and India needs to take it up with them as strongly as possible, and directly, and also through other interlocutors, other governments, and convey to them our deep concern on this sort of saga, I should call it, that is going on, and this never-ending, which they're trying to keeping on repeating the same thing again and again without any evidence. I think they will and should understand this. Good day.
Right. Let me also quickly, in fact, go across to Major General Dwivedi as well. Major General Dwivedi, on this proof, your first reaction to it, on this evidence now, which is there in this dossier. It is a known fact to the Canadians, and yet they are, trying to spoil relations for an individual who has blood on his hands.
Absolutely. They actually, a person like Hardeep Singh Nijjar doesn't require the dossier because he is such a well-known criminal, and he belongs to Jalandhar, and that's my hometown. So his credentials are well known across the country, across the state. And this dossier is only a formality to put across to the Canadians and give a concrete proof. But otherwise, Nijjar is an international terrorist. And if you join the dots, he has been to Pakistan, he is being supported by the Sikhs for Justice, Panu and party. He has links with the other criminal organizations. And unfortunately, and rather surprisingly, the Canadian government has played soft and rather has taken no action. When there was Interpol, notice, and they just contemplated it. Well, the issues are threefold. First and foremost, Nijjar is a criminal terrorist, and he must be brought to justice. That is point number one. Secondly, we need to understand the Canadian outlook, and especially Justin Trudeau, because he has been hobnobbing and he has the support of Khalistani outfit like Jagmeet Singh, his party, New Democrats, actually are supporting Justin Trudeau. And without his support, he will not be able to politically survive. And thirdly, the timing. Timing is most important because, as you see today, Canadian economy is down. Justin Trudeau is fighting for survival. So he played out this trick, trying to distract and also trying to dodge the reality on the ground. And unfortunately, ironically, he is sacrificing the interest of Canadian nation at large for their own political survival. All I can say is that Indian government must go very hard on this issue because Nijjar is not only a Canadian terrorist, he has the network linkage across Pakistan, across US, across UK. And this person must be actually cannot be condoned. And what has happened is that today Justin Trudeau is just trying to fake that government of India was responsible. No way. Canada today is a land of where the terrorists get a streak of centuries and inter-gang wars are going on, and they need to actually clean up their house rather than finger pointing at India. Uday.
Right. Colonel J. Sodhi also, in fact, joining us at this point. Colonel Sodhi, the facts are that there is a money trail to establish his links with Tara. The fact is that he traveled to Thailand. He also traveled to Pakistan. Those travel details will be there for all to see, Colonel Sodhi. It clearly shows his links with terror organizations.
Jai Hind, Uday. It's my honor to be on a news channel and a privilege to be with the esteemed co-panelist. There is a history of the Canadian government since 1980 not acting on the evidence given by India against the Khalistani terrorists. It all started from 1980. Till 1980, Canada was a peace-loving and a beautiful country where a lot of Hindus and Sikhs migrated. In the end 70s, when the Khalistan movement was rearing its ugly head in Punjab and the Indian government took strong action on them, some of these Khalistanis went to Canada and they got asylum because Pierre Trudeau, the father of the present Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, was the Prime Minister during 1980 to 84. There were so many evidences given to him. In fact, today, the Canadian intelligence called the CSIS gave the Canadian government between 1980 and 84 credible evidence that the Khalistanis in Canada planning to bomb a Air India flight, which was beautifully shown in a program on NewsX yesterday evening. I would request all your viewers to watch that program. It is a wonderful program made by a news channel. Well, the Canadian government that time also, led by Pierre Trudeau, did not act. As a result, in 1985, the first major Khalistani attack from abroad happened on India when an Air India Montreal to Mumbai flight AI-182 was blown off the coast of Ireland, killing 329 people on board. This time too, for last many years, the Indian government has been giving the Justin Trudeau government a lot of evidence about these Khalistanis, but the Justin Trudeau government is eerily quiet on this issue. Rather, they are putting a false blame and allegation on India. Uday, I just need one more minute. The three main reasons why such people are having a free run in Canada. One is, of course, the greed of Justin Trudeau to remain in power because he needs the support of the National Democratic Party headed by Jagmeet Singh, who has close links with the Khalistani elements. The second is the Pakistan ISA, and the third most important is China is funding enormous money in Canada. In fact, there is a quota inquiry going on in Canada on the rigging of the 2019 and the 2021 elections, in which China is supposed to have pumped in a large amount of money. That report is expected early next year. So these three factors are making Canada very fertile ground for these Khalistani and Islamic elements. And the day is not far when, if the Canadian government does not take strong and stern action on them, another major strike on India from abroad will happen, like it happened in 1985.
Yes, also the fact very clearly as N.K. Sood, that the entire way in which this campaign has been run to try and, paint him as an innocent man, as an ordinary citizen of Canada is also reprehensible, given these startling details which are, tumbling out of this dossier, which of course are there for the world to see. These are not new inputs that I'm putting out today, N.K. Sood.
Actually, thanks, Uday. Before me, all the three panelists have spoken very well about all the things, they know. And you had also given a lot of things, But I would like to give you some specific instances or specific cases why this is being done. All this information on the dossiers were given to the Canadian High Commission or their intelligence officer who was sitting here. This is a normal procedure. We had given them all of the information, but the Canadians deliberately want to look to the other side. They know who Nijjar is, they know who other terrorists are there, but they do not want to act on that because they consider India as a soft target. They especially want to target India because they are jealous of India. They are jealous of India's progress, they are jealous of India's development, they are jealous of India's economy. On the other hand, PM Modi's reputation all over the world is so high that Justin Trudeau is not able to digest that. It is a normal procedure to give such kind of information to our friendly countries because Canada was considered a friendly country. And Justin Trudeau had deliberately exposed it, exposed our men over there, and Indian government is talking tough. In the Canadian High Commission, more than 12 people are there who belong to the Canadian intelligence. One has been asked, given the marching orders, others will follow. Prior to this, we had been providing all the information to the US. Before that 9/11 incident happened. We are giving those information to the intelligence people, to the CIA and to the US officials. Clear facts were given, but they used to just ignore that. About 5 and other Kashmiri militants who were operating from the US land, and ultimately 9/11 took place. After 9/11 took place, the attitude of the Americans changed and they realized that they were keeping snakes in their country. Same thing will happen with Canada. As Colonel Sodi had said, that maybe that another major incident may happen. It may happen or it may not happen. Of course, he is right that way, but it may happen in Canada because now our government is much alert. Our intelligence agencies, they are much powerful. Our government is much powerful, and we are keeping a close eye on the Canadian authorities and Canadian government and the Khalistanis who are settled in Canada. The issue is not of Nijjar or the other terrorists. They are, especially Justin Trudeau is trying to exploit the situation to his advantage. He is getting funds from Gurdwaras. That's why he supports Khalistanis. He gets funds from George Soros. He is also involved in it. And they have a plan. They want to attack India. They want to weaken India. They want to target India because India is a soft target. But what kind of action that Indian government has taken has really unnerved not only George Soros, not only the Canadian Prime Minister, but also the other countries, Okay. Because you see, when the Khalistani movement has started a few months back, they were writing outside Indian High Commission in London, Australia, US. So at that time, Indian government took strong action, especially with, in March 2023, the Australian Prime Minister visited India and PM Modi had briefed him. Similarly, they took strong action against the Britain. They had to take some tough action, tough stance to impress them. And at that time, Ajit Doval had specially spoken to the US, the NSA, and all these countries, they were neutralized in a peaceful manner. The only country that remained was of Canada. And Canada is not taking action deliberately to weaken India, to target India, but you will see in the near future that Canada is targeted.
Okay. Let me also bring in at this point Prithviraj Chavan, former Maharashtra Chief Minister, who is joining us on this broadcast as well. Prithviraj Chavan, welcome to the show. Before I get to the specifics, what is your view on how this entire matter between India and Canada has transpired, with various allegations being leveled by Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada, on India, which of course India has denied, and post which we've also taken certain tit-for-tat measures?
Well, I think if you go a long time back to the Kanishka bombing, Canada has always been soft on terror, particularly if you look at the episode which happened in 1985, the way the investigation took place, the way the people were punished. About 329 people perished, but the person who admitted to the bombing was sentenced for 15 years in prison. And he was released on bail and he was roaming all over the place. So Canada has been soft, whether deliberately or as a state policy, one doesn't know. But it has given a safe haven to Khalistani terrorists from India. And many attempts were done. I mean, as a matter of fact, on the Kanishka bombing, there were supposed to be twin bombing, one at Narita in Japan, which went wrong. The bomb exploded at the wrong time, killing 2 loaders. But it was a very well-planned attack, bombing of the Kanishka Air India planes. And the sad part is, there was enough intelligence given to the Royal Canadian Mounted Police and the Canadian Security Intelligence Services, but they ignored the warnings coming from India in those days. And therefore, this huge tragedy happened, which was the worst aviation disaster till 9/11 happened in the United States. So whether as a part of state policy or whether in order to directly weaken India, or I don't know what reason, Canada has not been fair to India. When we raised extradition requests against Parmar and other people who were wanted for murder before the Kanishka bombing, the extradition requests were blankly refused. And the people are happily mobilizing in Canada and conspiring in Canada, which resulted in the Kanishka bombing. Now, what has happened in the recent incidents, of course, the incidents of Nijjar's killing happened in June. And it is, as the Indian government tells us, it is a result of a gang war in Canada. There are other gang wars going on out of people of Indian origin based in Canada. We know all that. The matter, I think, from Indian point of view, was resolved. But suddenly, one fine morning, I don't know why, maybe out of spite that happened in the G20 meeting, suddenly Justin Trudeau gets up in his parliament and accuses India of being complicit in the murder of Nijjar. Of course, government of India has strongly denied that. I think it's for the other countries who are generally considered allies of Canada to take a call. It is for them to either believe Indian story or to believe Canadian story. And I think we've not heard the last of the matter. Whether it will have a commercial impact, yes, it will have some commercial impact because there is a ongoing diplomatic war going on between India and Canada, denial of visa services and others. But whether investment will get affected, whether Canadian companies which are operating in India today, would they be affected, one doesn't know. It's an ongoing situation. I think other friendly countries like United States and others would sort of counsel patience to Canadian activities and probably bring this matter to a close. Otherwise, relations will remain strained.
Yes. Now, you yourself had visited Canada at that time, isn't it, Mr. Chauhan? Now,
I think the incident happened. The Kanishka incident happened in 1985.
Yes.
On the 25th anniversary, that is 2010 June.
Okay.
I was deputed by Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh to visit Ireland, not Canada. There is a memorial on the Irish coast at a place called Cork, where a lot of relatives of the people who perished in the tragedy had collected. I, along with a Punjab minister, we went to Ireland. We went to the site of the memorial at Cork and commemorated, offered a wreath on the monument on behalf of the Prime Minister of India. And so I touched the tragedy in a remote way after 25 years in 2010 as a Minister of State in the Prime Minister's office. But the sad memories of 1985 were renewed. Many relatives told their tales.
Yes, you must have met a lot of relatives and a lot of kin there. What did they tell you?
Well, they told their personal stories of how suddenly this whole news broke that their near and dear ones were involved in a bombing crash and nobody survived. And they, of course, had lived on because 25 years has passed. But the memories, the families got hurt, families got disturbed, destroyed. There was total upheaval in their families. Interestingly, out of the 329 people who perished, 268 were Canadian citizens. Maybe some of them were of Indian origin, but 268 were Canadian citizens. There were 27 British citizens and 24 Indians, out of which 22 were crew members. So most of the people who perished in the tragedy were Canadians. Fortunately, the second bombing attempt, which was to be initiated out of Narita in Tokyo, went wrong because of some timing errors on behalf of the plotters, and therefore major tragedy in Air India 301 was averted. This tragedy out of Montreal was Air India 182, which unfortunately met with a disaster. But Air India 301, which was also targeted by the terrorists, escaped narrowly when the bomb exploded much before it was being loaded on the aircraft. So it was a very well thought out plan to take revenge about the Operation Blue Star.
Yes.
There were warnings, there were intelligence information originating out of India, which was handed over to Canada. Even though Canadian own intelligence services had given enough information, even a gentleman who was offered a lot of money, something like $200,000 to place a bomb in the aircraft, reported to the Royal Canadian Mounted Police about this incident, but somehow they took it lightly. They did not take it seriously, or they were just not professional in acting on these threats. And a major tragedy happened only because of the lack of proper investigation and proper precautions by the Indian authorities.
Absolutely, and I'm sure the kin and kith who you met as well, and you know, would have echoed your sentiments as well personally, which you've told us today, that the Canadians were not serious about the probe or the prosecution.
Well, I think there was a trial, the investigation, prosecution went of 20 long years. So they went through the process, but either it is the Canadian system, which is a soft state. I mean, a person who admits to bombing, I think Rijat, one of the Parminder Singh Nijjar, agreed to the bombing, and he was punished for 15 years in prison and was paroled after some time, and he left Canada and was arrested again in West Germany. So if that was the punishment, at least the person should have been detained for life and not let go, because he was a terrorist who has conspired to kill so many people.
Yes.
But Canadian authorities, the justice system that is there. But I blame the Canadians for not taking enough precautions when they had enough credible evidence, enough credible intelligence to act on this threat. I think they just took it lightly.
They took it lightly. They could have saved many lives. They could have prevented this bombing, isn't it, Prithviraj Chavan?
Yes, I think so.
Okay, let's leave it at that. Prithviraj Chavan, former Maharashtra CM, thank you very much for joining us with your perspective.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.